Hey guys, before we get going, I wanted to share my warm wishes and prayers with Tommy Oliver, who potentially just had a stroke. I will be including a link to his Twitter in the description, and for those of you who don't feel that prayers are enough, I will be including a link to his Patreon, as here in America, medical care, as you may know, is very extensively expensive. Conversely, I have some fun news about Charred Knight, a brand new animator who, if you like MLP and Dark Souls, did this fun little haunting score. If you like Chrysilius and swords, you should like this product. But if you don't trust me, Crown Prince, Tyandaga, Lightning Bliss, MangaKamen, as well as British Ninja.
Who the fuck cares what British Ninja thinks?
All also shared all their thoughts on this piece, and I encourage you to do so as well. And one more thing! There seems to be a massive issue that's been brewing over lately. Remember this?
I am a reviewer.
Alright, a reviewer and or critic at the very most basic of levels has had to do two things. One, I think we all know and got this one down pat. Now, do you know what he also has to know how to be able to do? Now see this, guys, I'm hearing more and more people wanting to be reviewers and critics instead of analysts. And here's the bad news, sometimes being part of being a critic is being booed, and constantly biting your tongue is counterproductive. Let's look at some examples. This is Watchful Pony. I discovered him at the turn of Season 5, and I've kept up with his content throughout the season.
For the first time ever, I'm left with a Discord episode I don't know what to think of.
Now, this isn't a bad place to start. At the start of your script and or video, being confused isn't a horrible emotion to convey to your audience. I'd even go so far as to say expressing your confusion puts you squarely in Twilight's shoes.
Episode B giving me questionable implications, giving me an awesome villain, or making me laugh my ass off. It gave me a reaction of some kind. But this latest episode, on the other hand, I don't know what to think of it at all.
An excellent flow, examples, and you know I love examples, and you're restating your thesis statement. I think a clip or two would have been an extra perk, but this came out very well. This is an A-grade review for a less than stellar episode. Something enjoyable in the wake of something less than enjoyable.
Not to say it's a bad episode, in a lot of ways it's still a good episode, and oh okay, I'm getting ahead of myself.
And here's the problem, your hook. I'm confused, I don't know. And 29 seconds you tip your hand to the audience. When you're selling your confusion, the product you have to offer is a mystery. Come with me on a journey, let's see if we can figure out what to make of this. Sadly, your misstep is letting your audience know you made up your mind exactly what that is. I do think your review is good in spite of the flaws.
Twilight reorganizing her library. Again. So if we're keeping count, which I am, this is around, what, the 9th time she's reorganized the library?
You know, I can't tell you if this is a joke or not, but if this was a fact, just blazing by the names of the episode where it happened would have been cool. Not a deal breaker, but you do have me believing it was 9.
I can't count. I've seen it done so many times and done incorrectly. I've only seen it done correctly once, and that was by MLP, for God's sake.
Bingo! You nailed it. Everything after this point should have been you doing a victory lap. But it occurs to me, as much as I like the point, I would have saved this towards the end of the review. Not to mention this actually contradicts your earlier statement, it's not a bad episode. Just by your anger and tenor, it's tantamount to someone else saying, I'm not angry! Here, let me show you something. This is MangaKamen.
I'm not saying it is impossible for the main 6 to get along with Discord. Heck, it's what I want to see.
Manga is showing a detracted tone. It's not nearly as emotionally invested as yours. He seems happy, in a good mood, but for all I know, he could very well hate what's going on.
Love puns, guys, because they use the same puns over and over again.
I'm going to get to my point right quick. Standard disclaimer, MangaKamen is a cool guy, love his work, amazing artist, but do you know what he lacks that you actually had? Watchful, when you're angry in your videos, I believe you. I believe you're frustrated. Sadly, both of you seem to tackle the same issue that shouldn't be an issue, being negative. Watchful, you have the ability to deliver with sincerity and authority when you say something. Ahem, when you say something. Manga, conversely, is able to say there's a problem, but downplays that as something serious by hamming it up. I can't believe I'm gonna quote or misquote Mr. Enter in this case, but if it wasn't a big deal, why bring it up? Just a quick aside, Manga. Taking the episode seriously, at least in bursts, gives your audience a chance to take you seriously.
Nothing seems to really challenge her. So when she says that it's hard work being a princess, I don't believe her.
When Several Quill breaks down from blowing himself up, there'll be a deep, meaningful moment between him and his audience. I might make the remark that Silver is more of an entertainer than a reviewer, but it's what separates a George Carlin from, say, a Chris Farley.
Show recycles the more they've done already, it's easy to make a better episode than the one it was originally in. You know, fixing the problems of that episode while keeping everything that worked, but here, well, you fixed the problem with Twilight knowing the secret, but you ended up not keeping everything that did work.
Now then, this is going to be the easiest commentary ever, because you're goddamn killing it. You don't perceive something doesn't work. Points, proper tone, expression, mwah. Watchful, as of now, yours is the strongest What About Discord out there before the end of your review, but we'll get there.
With all that criticism being said, there's nothing outwardly terrible or insulting about the story at the very least. It's just boring and by the numbers.
Just boring by the numbers. Okay, Watchful, let's roleplay. You're a writer, I'm a Hasbro executive. You are aware entertainment is supposed to be entertaining. You are aware that it is steps 1, 2, and 3. To drive my point home further, your end message is total shit. In spite of all that, I can rant and rave about your product.
A boring and by the numbers story doesn't automatically kill an episode. I mean, heck, as long as it can still be funny and entertaining, it can still work, right?
By definition, a boring episode cannot be entertaining! If it's entertaining, it wouldn't be goddamn boring! Am I taking crazy pills or something? Telling someone it was fun and boring at the same time is like something that you would tell to your wife or your kid, so they don't hate you. You are not married to DHX or fucking Hasbro!
As an MLP episode, I found the comedy mostly subpar.
There we go. Now, while these are the most obvious points in the world, you laid the foundation to say them with authority.
God's sake, I expect these episodes to be hilarious, even when the story isn't all that great. I mean, Keep Calm and Flood Around may have had some horrible implications with the whole Imperial Curse thing, and the moral was extremely botched up, but at least Discord kept me entertained.
Recapping a point and going back even further in depth. You know what I think right now? The Watchful Pony is informed, cares about the product, and I should care about what he thinks.
Final thoughts. And the final thoughts are this episode was just there. It was just there. That's my final thoughts. The story doesn't do anything special and does everything by the numbers and traditionally, and heck, in a lot of ways it has a lot of flaws to it. And the comedy, with 1 or 2 exceptions, didn't really make me laugh all that much, and when compared to Discord episode standards, it is especially bad. However, with that being said, much like Princess Spike, there isn't really anything outwardly terrible about this episode.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware MLP was Johnny Test, and putting a subpar episode out was okay? When did this happen? I must have missed that Rift meeting somehow.
You know what, let's just get to the final rating and end this already. My final rating for this episode is a 2 out of 6. A done already by the numbers story with, for the most part, subpar comedy, but overall nothing terrible or insulting about the episode.
Okay, let's talk about the 6-point sliding scale. It's an amazing tool, one done by design so that reviewers can't cop out and give a meh answer. And this is how it works. 6, the best thing ever. 5, amazing, good. 4, 3, bad. 2, terrible. 1, worst thing ever. Do you know who taught me that? And I know what you're gonna say. Well, fuck Digi, he's your senpai, not mine. And you know what, that's fair. Let's use something way more grounded. Math, which admittedly I'm not that amazing at, so feel free to correct me. If this was a 5-point scale, each point would be worth 20%, meaning everything below 3 points would be a fail. I don't know what school you went to, but 40, even on a curve, is always going to be an F. Moreover, on a 6-point scale, each point is worth about 16%. Again, not the most amazing at math, meaning out of 100, 2 stars equals, here, let's round it up to 33 just to be nice. Boring, terrible, 33% is a shit tier episode. Look, the lesson is nice, but it's not necessary. And just in case you're fucking mad at me, let me cite someone who's a bigger authority than I and possibly you might respect.
Gripe with the moral. While Rainbow Dash did realize her errors in putting Darren Do so high on a pedestal, she diminished herself in the process, which did lead to teaching her idol a lesson in trust. It seemed unneeded. Yes, I'm saying it was more unneeded than Castlemania's morals. Just once, I want an adventure story that doesn't have to introduce a forced moral. Am I just nitpicking, or is this a major issue?
Voice, you're talking about a show that has a figurative forced moral every episode regardless.
See that? He's right. Bitching about the moral, being a be-all end-all, is just a safe way to hate on an episode by taking the moral high ground.
Trick your older siblings and set up on a high-risk, little-reward adventure. That'll get them to respect you. And the next thing is that Applejack got off scot-free.
Some pony watches over me sucks well beyond telling kids to put themselves in danger to get attention. Hanging your hat on a point like that is just a super safe soccer mom answer. It isn't TV's responsibility to raise our kids for us, and as amazing as MLP FIM is, it's not apparent, and we should stop acting like it is. You can't talk about taking the show way too seriously with a wink and a nod, then get all huffy when it ends up simply being entertainment, possibly even of the destructive kind. It's entertainment. Let's judge it for what it is, people. This is a nasty habit of reviewers wanting their cake of being called a reviewer, but then needing the distance of being called a stuffy analyst and eating it too, by calling the show for kids and then throwing up their arms when a kid's cartoon shows something bad. Tom and Jerry had an amazingly long run out there, without ever having to teach anyone anything. And the bad episodes were simply boring. I know what you're saying, Tom and Jerry was a simpler show. Okay, so every time Goslin and Darkwing Duck was in danger, it was a shit episode? How about Jackie Chan's Adventures with Jade? Yeah. You wanna not be insulted? Pick up a fucking book and read it, you pretentious entitled cunt. Thank you.